Good afternoon, everyone. We got breaking news right now going on across Missouri, central and most of Kansas into western Illinois, as well as Kentucky and southern Indiana, as the National Weather Service in these areas have issued winter storm watches, winter storm warnings, and ice storm warnings, especially for southeastern Missouri, because this storm has a capable of producing a crippling, substantial ice storm that we have not seen in nearly a couple of years across the Midwest section here of the United States. So in this video, we will be breaking down all the details that you need to know about this catastrophic, extreme, crippling ice storm and snowstorm that is coming. To start off this video, here's a look at the geocolor satellite imagery across much of the United States. And while the weather pattern is looking pretty quiet now for the Midwest, this is going to be changing really fast because we have a intense upper level disturbance moving into California and the Pacific Northwest. This is bringing very heavy rainfall, some icy conditions to some of the interior valleys of Oregon and Washington. We have some heavy rainfall moving across our area. Not much wind with this, surprisingly. But this one is going to be producing some extreme, intense winds once this gets into the Midwest tomorrow, because we're going to have cyclogenesis going on. That's a quick pressure fall in a 24-hour period. We're going to have warmer air moving in out of the north. That's going to bring in the severe weather, and the colder air coming out of the north. When these two air masses mix the wrong way, we're going to have some extreme ice, sleet, and snow accumulations. And for that reasoning, the National Weather Service has already issued winter storm warnings out already for St. Louis, Missouri area, Kansas, all the way into western Illinois. This is that pink area on your screen. This is not just for snow. The further south you go, there's going to be a lot of sleet accumulation here, up to maybe about an inch or so, maybe up to 2 inches of sleet. And then, of course, your freezing rain accumulation here could be approaching a half an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch at times in some areas that I'm about to show you. On the EPS ensemble, it's even showing up to an inch of ice in some of these areas, which is more than enough to lead to widespread power outages lasting up to a week or more in some areas. Now, when we take a look at this on the Euro model, this is the ECMWF model, like we always use in these videos, because it's a pretty reliable model for the most part. We can see that a surface low is going to be developing by tomorrow late morning, early afternoon. We've been showing this for a while, how a surface low is going to develop here across the high plains. This is going to help to pull in those warmer temperatures and some heavier rainfall accumulations into Arkansas, Louisiana, eventually as a cold front develops. And then we get the colder air coming in out of the north, and this is going to allow for cyclogenesis to develop. Look at this. This thing explodes in size by Sunday morning. Look at all the heavy snowfall that is going to develop across northern, northwestern Kansas. And these isobars indicate some intense wind development because you got the high pressure up here, then you got the lower pressure down here. And then along this warm front, like I said, we have the warmer air coming in out of the south. It's going to overlap this colder air that is going to be dragged underneath it. And what that's going to lead it to is extreme ice accumulations. We're going to have an ice storm warning that we have not seen in a couple of years, along to go with a lot of sleet accumulations. It's not being shown here really well on the Euro, but believe me, we're going to have a lot of ice in many of these areas within the winter storm warning, and that's why the winter storm warning is in effect. And when it's just ice, there's an ice storm warning because they're not expecting a whole lot of snow. Now, this is going to get even more intense by Sunday early afternoon, the surface low 1,003 millibars, but look at these isobars. These are very intensely tightly packed, and that's going to allow for 30 to 50 mile an hour winds to develop out of the north where this heavy snowfall is going to happen. And remember, when we have heavy snowfall, all of this is going to be snow on the back side of the system, and there's going to be ground blizzards. There's going to be a lot of blizzard-like conditions. Wouldn't be surprising if they do issue blizzard warnings with this too. And then, of course, across the northern tier of the system, we're going to be looking at some light to moderate to even heavier snow and even some thunder snow as well, if some convective elements are able to jump onto the colder side of the system. But look at all this kind of maroon red color. This is all the freezing rain that is going to cause a lot of problems, and it gets even worse. You look at all that red there. Extreme ice accumulations are anticipated with strong northeasterly winds, so strong winds on top of ice will lead to power outages that will happen more easily than if it weren't for the wind, because there's going to be ice here accumulating very quickly. And then to the north of that, we have heavy snowfall. And this is for Sunday night into Monday morning. We're talking a bad Sunday for a lot of you that live in the Midwest because of cyclogenesis and the rapid intensification of this surface low pressure system that's going to be forming up. And as we go forward into, say, Monday morning, we've been saying this for a while, how the eastern half of the nation, let's go right over here to, say, West Virginia and Virginia. See all this blue here? This is very heavy snowfall rates over, that is southern Maryland. That's where my sister lives. I hope you're ready for this, Megan. If you are in Delaware, as well if you are in central Kentucky, or no, central Virginia, excuse me here, extreme snowfall accumulations are possible with some freezing rain and ice that is going to be coming in. Now, I'm not going to have time to show you in this video, but we're going to have a lot of 10-1 ratios. A lot of people think there's going to be a lot of dry snow with this, but we just talked about how there's going to be warm advection over this. So we're going to have a wet 10-1 ratio snowfall. So this is a wet, heavy snow that's going to put a lot of weight on trees. So even so it is just snow for these areas, there might be some sleet and some freezing rain in the mix, and that's going to lead to isolated to scattered power outages. Because remember, a 10-1 ratio is a wet, heavy snow versus a dry, lighter snow that comes down, and you would want lighter or more better ratios, like a 30-1 or a 25-1 ratio. That's really dry snow that usually happens. But now the more big concerning aspect to this forecast will be the extreme ice accumulations. And this is from our European ensemble model. This is a blend of all 51 members making up an average on what actually might end up happening. And what we have here is ice accumulations here on the order of about 3/4 of an inch. We got one area here, 1 inches. And again, this is on an ensemble forecast. This is the blend of all different members to make the ensemble. So this is pretty significant when you think about an average of a blend of different models here. And it's showing, again, 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch across Kentucky. If you're in southeastern Missouri, again, that's where the freezing rain warning is issued here in some of these counties. Then, of course, you got winter storm warnings because there's going to be some ice, some sleet, and some snow in the mix of that. And then I would not be surprised if we have a widespread swath here in central Kentucky, near Mayfield, Kentucky, as well as Louisville, Kentucky, might be under an ice storm warning soon here because of all the accumulation of freezing rain that accumulates on objects. And 1 inch of ice is an apocalyptic situation where you get widespread down trees, potentially power outages, utility damage, that sort of thing. If that's not enough, there is a 100% chance in these areas, according to the EPS ensemble forecast from the Euro, showing that there will be at least 1/10 of an inch or more of ice, and that's enough to cause a lot of problems. Road closures, impossible road travel otherwise, air or flight cancellations, trees and stuff. There's going to be a lot of disruptions here, and there's a 100% chance in the probabilistic forecast that there will be at least 1/10 of an inch of ice here. Now, if that's not enough, let's actually switch on over. Actually, you know what? Let's see the snowfall forecast, because a lot of you are wondering about how much snow is going to be forming with this system when it forms up. And what we have here, let's go over to the total snowfall here, accumulation on the ensemble, and it is still showing us a foot of snow in Kansas. And let me zoom out here, because that way you all can see the entire map instead of just looking at a little region. So you can see in Kansas about a foot of snow is anticipated. Then when you get to West Virginia, maybe up to 15 inches. So snowfall with this system Probably, I'm guessing, between 10 to 15 inches, maybe a little bit more in some certain areas. But the snowfall is not going to be the worst thing with this system. It is really going to be the sleet, and exceptionally, it's going to be the freezing rain that really forms with this. And again, I want to make it clear to you all. 1 inch of ice does not sound like a whole lot, but it is enough to cause catastrophic, crippling ice storm in many areas. Power outages that could last up to a week or more. Okay, I'm not hyping this up just to get views, just to cause panic. I'm being serious. You can look it up on the National Weather Service. In fact, the National Weather Service in Springfield, Missouri has emphasized this very clearly in their ice storm warning that runs from 6 p.m. Saturday through 6 a.m. Central Standard Time on Monday. They're expecting significant icing expected. Total snow and sleet accumulations up to 1 to 3 inches, and ice accumulations up to 1/4 and 1/2 of an inch, which means up to 0.50 inches of ice could accumulate just from freezing rain itself, and winds gusting as high as 35 miles an hour. And they made it really clear here, roads and especially bridges and overpasses could become extremely hazardous, if not impassable. Road closures could be possible and will likely become slick. Significant ice accumulation on power lines, tree limbs may cause widespread, long-lasting, that is, up to a week or longer of power outages are possible in this area, because we're going to have some extreme cold Arctic air coming in on the backside of this, and that's not going to allow the ice to melt at all in some areas. And if you want to get more helpful information, here's a look at the Winter Storm Severity Index. Yes, we are talking major impacts across much of northeastern Kansas, northwestern Missouri, all this red here, St. Joseph, if you're in Kansas City, major impacts. That means traveling could be impossible in some areas, and road closures are possible even in Salina, Kansas. And if that's not enough, St. Louis, Missouri, under moderate to major impacts. And then, yes, there's a couple of areas here on this map, especially in southernmost portion there of Indiana, that is. Yes, there's magenta, and that means extreme impacts. That meets the definition that this winter storm will be extreme and potentially crippling and catastrophic. And then you go further south, in Robards, that is in Kentucky, there is also extreme impacts due to ice, sleet, and snow accumulations. And it only gets even worse here. These are the key messages for the January 4th through 6th winter storm. And yeah, there's a lot of red, which means there's a 95% chance that you could see sleet, snow, and even some freezing rain. But of course, the further south you go, in that black area that is highlighted all the way from eastern portion of Kansas, central Missouri, southern Illinois, southern Indiana, into Kentucky, and even portions there of southern Ohio, West Virginia, and even all the way back towards the western half of the state of Virginia. The greatest potential for significant icing, enough, again, to bring down a lot of power lines, and those power outages could last up to a few days, if not even up to a week. But anyways, if you found this video really helpful, detailed, and informative, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel for latest updates on this substantial extreme winter storm that is developing tomorrow across the Midwest. Hit the like button, and also please subscribe for latest updates, and leave a comment in the section below this video, as it really helps out a lot. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you back here tonight with a live stream.